We reached the end of the 7th ABDE Development Forum, and to close this event that had as a main theme the debate about alternatives and solutions that can change Brazil and the world and leverage sustainable development, we would like to invite Janete Lontra, President of Badesul and ABDE, Leticia Dufay, Director to Brazil and Southern Cone with AAFD, and Sebastian Sommer, Director of Projects of GIZ. Carlos Musi, Director for the European Commission for Latin America and Caribbean, and we'll have the final remarks. After 2 days of intense debates and knowledge sharing, we would hear some final considerations of everything that was addressed here in this 7th edition of the Development Forum. With the floor, Mr. Sebastian Sommer. Thank you very much. Good evening to you all. Can I say good evening already? Well, especially after 2 busy days. It was really impressive. I know that it's not easy being one of the last to speak, but I promise you I will not delay the agenda. What impressed me very much, in addition to the many high-quality technical interventions, were the different accents and dialects that I could hear during the last 2 days from various regions in Brazil, but also from international partners. So now you all have to deal with yet another accent. In this sense, thank you very much to the organizers of this excellent event. Particularly, I'd like to thank Janete Lontra, President of the ABDE and Badesul. Thank you for inviting me, and it's also an honor to be in the closing ceremony with our international partners Leticia Dufay and Carlos Musi from ECLAC. I would like to thank you all on behalf of the German Technical Cooperation Agency for the presence of all of you in this event, both speakers and audience. As a director, I represent Project Fibras, a sustainable finance in Brazil, which is a partnership between Brazil and Germany funded by the Ministry of Cooperation in Germany, implemented with the Ministry of Economy, the Central Bank in Brazil, and many additional partners like ABDE. FIBRA's project has the goal of strengthening conditions for the development of the market of sustainable finance in Brazil. In this sense, we are very happy to support an event like this. We've had 2 very intense days of discussions which were quite interesting and important for our mandate, and I would like to thank the organizers for the courage of organizing this hybrid event. Believe me, it was very weird to participate in person, participate in an event, in a live event, after so many virtual events and conferences. Because of ABDE, we could benefit not only from excellent technical discussions, but also from very valuable exchange of ideas between and among the formal sessions. Despite the fact that we are addressing finances, we are actually talking about people. If we consider sustainability aspects, personal exchanges become even more important. With ABDE, we have a profound partnership. GIZ has a cooperation agreement with ABDE, and the target is to implement the SDGs in the methodology of financial institutions of development. In this sense, in the initial phase, we hired two consultancies, Stuart Hatring and the National Consultancy, to elaborate and implement a methodology which is adequate considering the heterogeneity of the national development system in Brazil. Many of you are participating in this work. I thank you for your support and trust. We understand that the role of the national development system, public banks, development banks, and development agencies is essential for us to have a green, sustainable transition and in the fulfillment of the SDGs, not only in Brazil but at a global level. I remember that, in fact, most of these financial development institutions in Brazil have a pipeline that is very much in line with the SDGs. We've heard this in many of the discussions in the last 2 days here in the forum. What we need to do is to standardize the metrics that are used to guarantee and implement the strategic aspects of the SDGs. And our partnership in this event and the leadership of ABDE is to address precisely this objective. This is why I would like to congratulate ABDE for the launching of the 2030 plan for sustainable development. Before I finish my brief intervention, just another piece of information. I'd like to remind you that we will have, in a partnership with ABDE, in the 5th of April, we'll have a spin-off of the Development Forum to address specifically the content of our partnership with ABDE and talk about the implementation of the SDG methodology in the development institutions and also funding of cities. You will receive an invitation. But now let us pause. A round of applause to the colleagues from ABDE, because they deserve it. It must have been very difficult to organize this event. Once again, thank you ABDE for the partnership and congratulations for this event in the last 2 days. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Sebastian Sommer. And now we'll hear from Ms. Leticia Dufay. Thank you very much. Dear Janete Lontran, Sebastian Sommer, dear speakers, dear audience, good evening. First of all, I'd like to thank the ABDE for the excellent organization of this forum and for having allowed us to participate in exchanges and reflections that were very high level and with participants from different and complementary background. This event, in my understanding, has capital importance. We are witnessing very concretely that the public development banks will become protagonists, unavoidable protagonists in the construction of a fairer, more sustainable and a more inclusive future. Not only the financial arm of the governments, but also as collaborators for the reflection and decision making. I consider particularly notable the choice of ABDE to organize this forum in the beginning of an elections year in Brazil, so as to contribute with the strategic choices that will be made in the next months by the whole country, so as to respond to environmental, social and economic challenges. It is remarkable the efficiency of ABDE in organizing this event in a moment in which development banks are structuring in international networks. Brazil demonstrates its capacity to contribute in a very dynamic and voluntarist manner to this with this document. It seems to me that the example of ABDE should be shared in value, should be shared with Fixed Financial Common IDAC and the Financial Club, which my colleague Adama Mariku addressed. It's a source of inspiration to the whole world. Us and our counterparts that are mobilized for the accomplishment of the SDGs. I would also like to remind you all of the need to have the human being in the core of our concerns, in the same level of relevance that we attribute to the concerns about the climate. These two realities, the social and environmental realities, are intrinsically connected, and we should address them in a joint and coordinated manner, not only because they are part of the SDG agendas and we aim to implement in the development banks, but also because our constitutions are men and women responsible players of this sustainable development. About the human being, I would like to congratulate the ABDE for the place given to women. The nomination of Jeanette Lontra to the presidency of the association is a cause for pride. So our words do not reduce the merits of the previous president, with whom we maintain a very high quality relationship. The great participation of women in this forum is also a reason for our thanks to ABDE. We are in favor of gender equality in a world in which we want to accomplish in a very short term with Brazilian partners actions in this area. I'd like to conclude by saying that it is a great honor to my institution to be a part of the award delivered yesterday by the ABDE and IDB. I would like to thank for the IDB team, not only for their organization effort and professionalism, but also for the trust that they have placed upon us in 2018 when we became their first international partner. We learned mutually with this cooperation and will continue to grow together, developing new projects about priority themes for both institutions. Once again, thank you very much to all of you, and congratulations for organizing this forum. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Leticia Dufay. And now we'll hear from Mr. Carlos Mussi.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's the end of a long journey of ABDE and several partners, that AFD and the UN system and others. I represent Dr. Cynthia, the resident coordinator of the UN system, which includes more than 20 agencies, funds, and programs. So, acknowledgements. Actually, we would have to extend our acknowledgements to many. When ABDE came to us to discuss SDGs and the 2030 agenda, well, it's a great challenge because these are many cross-cutting themes, and within a scenario of financing and banks, and where credit, risk, and so on are crucial. And so the responsibility of leaders of ABDE institutions in managing resources that are public resources. So it's very important for us to get to the end of our forum. Here with the 11 panels, and so in the last panel we had Rogério talking about the world of uncertainty. The 21st century appears to be full of black swans and require a lot in managing uncertainty. So we had many contributions along these panels. In the last panel, Professor Stephanie Griffiths gave us a map of what needs to be done, or what could be done by development banks. First, that they are not complementary. They are players in development. They should not remain on the demand side. They need to manage generation of supply. And this fits very well with the 2030 agenda and the SDGs. It's a dream. These are dreams. The will, the desire to transform our society. Something which is increasingly present in many countries in the region is a kind of lack of direction or destiny. Society is seeking its destiny, such as the discussion around sustainable development. Very often, this focuses only on the environmental side, but we need to think of other pillars. Sustainability is not only about environmental issues, it's about financing issues as well, because when allocating credit, the idea is that the business will pay you back and will become sustainable. Sustainability is also very much related to the social aspect. We had a seminar by ICLAC on social dimension, something that needs to be built and very often rebuilt. And Development Bank needs to operate within this idea and how to build social cohesion and dreams and projects. So it's all about ensuring the future, not only the word future, but what do we want from the future, how to work towards the future. The UN system, through the 2030 agenda and the agenda of the Secretary General, is seeking this new world. Of course we want to prosper, but we mustn't forget that in the case of climate change, the world's resources are finite, and so we won't always have time or room for readjustments. There are limits to our actions and damages that brought about by climate change. And so it will be interesting to see the transcriptions of the discussions in during the forum. There will be a lot of material that can be reflected in strategic plans and manuals of the banks. As already mentioned in this and the previous panel, this is the forum of sustainability, but also of diversity and parity in the case of gender. Congratulations, President Janete, of ABDE for mirroring this goal of greater participation of women in this forum, demonstrating the importance they have in the management of banks and development banks and agencies. Also, I would like to thank the organization of the event, the Secretariat of ABDE, through its Executive Secretary, João Gordon, José Gordon, and the whole team of ABDE, Bruna, Cássia, all those who worked tirelessly for this forum. So, José Gordon, my acknowledgement for the work that you do at ABDE under the leadership of President Janete Lontra and other members of the board of ABDE. Congratulations to you all. 2 very long days that have brought wonderful inputs for the discussion of our future. Thank you. Thank you, Carlos Mussi, for your participation. And now, officially concluding our event, the president of ABDE, Janete Lontra, who is also president of Abadesul. So, good evening to you all. Sebastian, Letícia, Carlos, all those attending live and online. I'd like to begin by expressing my gratitude for all who contributed along these 2 days for the success of the 7th Forum of Development. Thank you to all the institutions and teams that have made this event a reality, especially the UN, the Inter-American Development Bank, the French Development Agency, the GIZ, the Bank of Brasilia, and the Bank of Development of Latin America, CAF. Thank you also to the team of ABDE for its efforts and dedication to make this event a reality. A round of applause, please. Since one of the topics of our event was diversity and gender, I have to say that 80% of ABDE's team is comprised of women. Also, thank you to our 32 associated institutions, member institutions who supported this initiative enthusiastically. Lastly, I'd like to thank those of you who watched us during these 2 days for their interest in being part of the connections that we are building. In these 2 days, we had over 1,300 enrollments in our forum, more than 2,500 views of our broadcasts in the channel of the association, and more than 600 messages in the chats. These figures are just a small sample of how much the 2030 agenda and financing of sustainable and inclusive development, how much it raises the interest of the public and how much it should be included in our work. Very relevant topics were discussed by institutions and experts who contributed and have contributed for years to accelerate global sustainable transition. The sessions that we held along these 2 days helped to increase visibility of debates and challenges
para o desenvolvimento sustentável.
as well as solutions for sustainable
As
development.
instituições do Sistema Nacional
With the
de
forum,
Controle dão mais passo
we
na criação de
take a further step in the creation of synergies and connections
dessa agenda.
towards the materialization of this agenda.
Nesses 2 dias,
In face of everything we've seen,
fica evidente
it
a
becomes
necessidade
evident
de maior
and
compromisso
heard.
sustentável
It becomes evident that we need to
climático e
commit
ambiental por parte de
towards
todos.
greater
E por isso,
sustainability, and this seems to be the perfect moment for the launching of the 2030 ABD Plan for Sustainable Development based on sustainability, inclusion, innovation towards economic and social development in Brazil. So we reaffirm the commitment of our national development system with national and international partners who support us in the construction of sustainable paths. We will continue to carry out actions and projects, translating them into sustainable results at international, national, and subnational levels. The system, the development system is committed to leverage the 2030 agenda. On behalf of ABDE, thank you for your attendance, and we'll see you next year in the next edition of the Development Forum. So we heard the president of ABDE, Jeanette Londra, with her closing remarks. And so this is the end of the 7th Development Forum. Along the past 2 days, we were together with more than 1,000 enrollments. She already gave us all the figures. More than 16 hours of program, more than 90 guests, including experts, authorities from several areas and institutions. Once again, on behalf of ABDE and the National System of Development, thank you all. We'd like to thank our guests who have enriched the discussion on the financing of Brazilian development, reinforcing the commitment of institutions that are dedicated to this mission, strengthening these institutions in order to strengthen their actions, making the most of regional and local expertise is a task that requires permanent improvement. And to this end, not only are internal connections necessary, but also external connections so that sustainable development, inclusive and innovative development will face no barriers. You can learn about the work of ABDE through official channels, and also the next edition of the Humus publication will cover this event. Thank you so much to all of you who have contributed so much to the success of the forum. Thank you all for your audience. It will be a huge pleasure to meet you again in the 8th Forum of Development. See you next time.